Reynad is taking this very seriously, making sure that he can keep up with it. Meanwhile, Gnimsh is also doing the same too, because he wants to redeem himself from the 0-3 performance in the BlizzCon qualifiers. And if he can advance in this group, which is pretty stacked, I think he'll be very happy with the result.
Yeah, very happy indeed. Gnimsh has kind of been slightly lacking in results lately, especially with the 0-3 finish in the Phase 1 BlizzCon EU qualifiers. So just by winning this match, I think it'll give him a bit boost, give him a bit of a boost as a player. His teammates have been doing fairly well. Kalento is the #1 seed of EU. Strifecro advanced with a 5-0 record. Ekop, even though he didn't advance to the EU finals, he did actually very well, and he was actually one game away from advancing. Gnimsh is kind of sitting by his lone side, and he kind of needs to prove himself in order to establish himself as one of the greats of Cloud9.
That's right. People said Cloud9 was probably the strongest team on paper based off of their results at the time of being picked up, because by then most of them have won something. And then Hafu, of course, being a very distinguished player in her own right, being seeded third or fourth for BlizzCon qualifiers. So everyone was very hyped. But Gnimsh since then has kind of been lacking results, and hopefully he can kind of turn them around. You know, as a friend and as a fellow competitor by teams, I think we recognize Gnimsh as a player that people should be afraid of. And now it seems like he's going to go with Warrior in game #1, which is going to be a little difficult because he doesn't have Fiery War Axe Monk, and that's your best tool against Undertaker.
Yeah, definitely. Doesn't really have many options against the Undertaker besides the Fire War Axe. And if you don't draw Undertaker in your first 2 turns, things could really spiral out of control.
Certainly. Now, Reynad does have the Death Rattle. Flare to thin out his deck. Picks up Savannah Highmane, another problematic card. Things are only looking more difficult for Gnimsh, but Unstable Ghoul might be able to put a dent into the plan of Reynad.
Yeah, Unstable Ghoul, plus the fact that he drew Deathspite, that's a very good card. Not only will it deal with the 2-3 Undertaker right now, it can potentially deal with a 3-4 Undertaker that we might see in the future. And indeed, Reynad does draw the Haunted Creeper.
So the question becomes, does he want to use Hunter's Mark?
Well, if you use Hunter's Mark and you use the 2-1 to clear the Unstable Ghoul, then you preserve 1 more life on the Undertaker, which puts the Undertaker down to, which puts him to a 3-3 instead of a 3-2. So I don't think it's that great. Wow. Okay, Gnimsh goes for the Shield Slam clear instead of the Death Spite. I guess he's playing more on curve, but it kind of gets rid of one way to deal with the Highmane that's coming up. On the other hand, you still have the Death Spite, which is another way to deal with Highmane.
Yeah, I suppose it's a very painful way to deal with it. I suppose the way you could look at it is how you're paying with your life, because Deathbite does drain your health based off the attack that you're going into, and you didn't want to take that extra 3 damage. Now it's a question of, do I want to challenge whatever comes out, or do I want to use this Deathbite and try and answer whatever threat comes out and kill off these 1/1s? Not to mention deny the Houndmaster.
Yeah, Gnimsh is really setting up for his opponent's turn 5, which he knows will likely be a Sludge Belcher. If Reynad plays the Sludge Belcher into the Death Spite, Gnimsh will get a fairly good trade.
Reynad has an interesting way to try to bait out another Death Spite effect, and this way he gets maximum annoyance with his Sludge Belcher.
Yeah, he decides to slave his Sludge Belcher for a later turn, because the only difference between playing this 1-2 and playing the Sludge Belcher is that by the end of the day, you'll have a 1-2 left on the board if you had played the Sludge Belcher. It's not really that great of a trade and not that great of a value for Sludge Belcher, which you can save for later on after you've played your 2 Highmanes.
Yeah, it goes down to the idea that you want to make your opponent as uncomfortable as possible, as opposed to always trying to maximize what your play is. Because the logical thing to do is on turn 5, use Sludge Belcher, turn 6, High Main, and then turn 7, you have Undertaker and High Main, and then you have like a nice curve there. But Reynad trying to throw off his opponent, well, conveniently sneaking in hero power, and Warrior's already at 19, so it's starting to get to the danger zones of how his opponent's going to be able to live if he's taking too much damage.
Yeah, this is an easy high main turn, and we can see right now why high main is superior to the Karen Bloodhoof.
Because Karen doesn't even go half for one.
Yeah,
He like barely kills off the first body.
yeah. Gnimsh decided to use the Sludge Belcher right after the Karen. It makes you kind of think whether he should have actually tried to coin out the Karen, because it's not going to be the Sludge Belcher compared to the Karen isn't going to be that different against a high main that you probably know is going to be coming on turn 6. And right now, with this series of plays, all he accomplished was that he got one more point of damage in, and he wasted his coin.
Yeah, that's a good point. He traded his coin for 1 damage. Maybe not worth it. Now, Reynad goes for the Sludge Belcher. Again, squeezing in his curve so that way he can use his hero power and really tick away his opponent's health. He has Leroy in hand as a potential finisher. Gnimsh, in the meantime, drew his Faceless Manipulator, an opportunity to also set up yet another Sludge Belcher, but how long can he hold on for?
You could also, besides facelessing the Sludge Belcher, you could also consider some of the other options that are on board right now. The 4/5 Karen or the 2 or the 6/2 are fairly tempting options, I would say. I think,
True.
but by the way Gnimsh is moving his mouse, he's going over. He's probably considering the Sludge Belcher as his first priority to faceless because it does allow him to survive.
Yeah, when there's a high main on the field, I feel like it's appropriate to take this very seriously as a way that you might die. Now, the problem is, high main number 2, Monk.
Yeah. Fortunately for Gnimsh, Reynad did not play a web spinner early on, and that web spinner did not draw Reynad a third high main.
Oh,
Ooh,
well,
chill
Gnimsh wouldn't
Yeti.
know what that's like, right?
Yeah. Well, Gnimsh might even be happy if that happened because last game against Strifecro actually did that, and Gnimsh won the game anyway.
That's funny. That's right. There's 3 high mains, but the Hunter player ended up losing. The paradoxes of Hearthstone sometimes.
Yeah.
Now, Reynad introduced with interesting set of choices of how he wants to take out everything here and how he develops his following high main. What do you think is the best course of action here, Monk?
Yeah, well, the most obvious course of action is just to attack with the high main, but then you kind of don't get rid of the second body, the Sludge Belcher. I think using one of your Hunter's Marks right now and running your 1/2 Sludge into the Sludge Belcher is a pretty good play. It allows you to keep the high main at a 6/1 creature, and it's really awkward for your opponent to deal with. Even though high main is a 6/1, there's no great immediate way for Warrior to deal 1 damage against their opponents, unless he top decks a Cruel Taskmaster right now. Unstable Ghoul, not bad either.
Guess it is that one way to do damage.
Yeah, but because you preserve this body of the high main, you can use the 6/1 to attack into the Unstable Ghoul, and you won't have 1 damage being done to all your little hyenas that come out. You could also actually consider running your Cairn into the 6/5 high main and throwing the Unstable Ghoul onto the board so that you kind of really set up for the Unstable Ghoul. And I think Gnimsh will do that. We haven't seen a Houndmaster from Reynad yet. Instead, we've seen the Chillwind Yeti. And if Gnimsh has been watching Reynad's games, he'll have noticed that too. And again, Chillwind Yeti, or rather Houndmaster, would really wreck Gnimsh's plans right now because a high main would survive in that case. Dan, are you there?
Yep, sorry, Skype was lagging on me a little bit. But I caught most of what you were saying, and I completely agree. I think Gnimsh was able to get a pretty good position where maybe he has the opportunity to use Grommash as a finisher. By the way, Yeti coming out, threatening more damage, and Gnimsh has to figure out how to pull himself out of here because he only has 14. And right now, there is 10 damage on board, or excuse me, 12 damage on board. How does Gnimsh deal with this? He's going to have to use his Acolyte, draw some cards, and pull himself out here with the Whirlwind effect.
Yeah, last time Ninch was in a really bad position, and he got himself out of it with a brawl. Unfortunately, he doesn't have a brawl right now, which would be really good. No matter what came out, even if it were the 4/5 Chillwind Yeti, I think Ninch would be okay with that. It's just that no brawl means not an easy way to deal with this board.
Do you play one Acolyte? Do you go double Acolyte?
I kind of feel like if you go double Acolyte, you're really hoping to draw your Shield Slam. You could go that way, and if you draw your Shield Slam, you gain 5 health, or you could go, I guess maybe the more risky route, play one Acolyte, try to draw the Shield Slam, and then combo it with your hero power in order to gain even more health. But wow, Gnimsh decides to
Is this an
go
Alex
0.
Straza play? Oh man. Wait, but that means Leroy kill command is lethal. So
Yeah,
this play did not pay off whatsoever, and Reynad just gonna be able to end it right here.
yeah, and that's game.
Hmm.
Leroy kill command. That's 11
Okay.
damage plus 2 from Reynad's hand.
There you go.
GG.
So Gnimsh ended up taking a line which I think wanted to be a little bit more board centric, but he could have definitely played that more reactive based off what he would be able to draw. He had slam to potentially draw, like at the beginning of the turn. Say slam could have dictated the way he changed it. Could have used acolyte. Most likely was going to take down the Yeti too, but unfortunately for Gnimsh, he actually killed himself there. And now he's down to his last chance to advance. If he loses this right here, 0-2, then Strifecro advances. It's do or die for Gnimsh.
Yeah, do or die indeed. Although I think Gnimsh is somewhat okay with losing at this point. Of course, he wants to advance, but if he doesn't advance, it means his teammate will advance. I think at the end of the day, he can go happy with that. He can go home happy with that.
Right. He can be happy or happier, right?
Yeah. So looking from Gnimsh's perspective, it's a win or win more situation.
Yeah, I guess it's like his bloodlust version right now. Let's see if he can go with the Hunter Mirrors here and win, because I highly doubt he'd bring Handlock. And the Hunter Mirrors definitely do feel very coin flippy sometimes based off the starts. I want to give Reynad the extra edge here with the Hunter deck. Or, sorry, with his Death Rattle Undertaker version with Yetis. It's kind of weird. Like, I don't know exactly how to call this Hunter deck. Is there a proper term for it, Monk, that I'm missing?
No, I think it's just maybe a standard Undertaker Hunter deck with no traps and just one Yeti. You have to kind
Yeah,
of put a
that's the
lot of
name I was
words.
looking for.
Yeah, exactly. Like all these Hunter decks, there's so many cards different from each other. Like they're kind of the same archetype, but they're often like 6 or 7 cards different from each other, and you just have to use so many words to describe them. Does it have Undertaker? Does it have traps? Does it have a lot of beasts, or does it have weapons? And does it have Chelwyn Yeti? We have to add that to the list right now, thanks to
Right.
Reynad.
Of course. And Gnimsh, he's not running Yetis. He's running more of Hunter that we've come to expect with just regular Undertaker synergies. And he does start off with Undertaker, and he is going first, which is nice that the Death Rattles line up perfectly. But that is a big if.
Yeah, as player one, you get to see fewer cards to start off with, and you're less assured that you will curve out really well. And unfortunately, no. He does not get a 2-drop or another 1-drop to buff his Undertaker.
Well, maybe. Oh, still has another draw. One more draw left.
Nope.
Ew.
Okay, what does Reynad have?
Well, he's got a couple one drops available to him.
Unfortunately, he doesn't have his own Undertaker, or this hand would be looking pretty brutal. There's always this kind of mind game when when you play an Undertaker and your opponent plays an Undertaker, and then you're just like hoping to God that your opponent doesn't play a second Undertaker. And it's
Right.
kind of similar here. You just really
Oh,
hope that this Undertaker doesn't get buffed, but at least it will trade pretty well into the web spinner, and it'll be able to contest this
ooh,
core hound. Wow.
wow. That is a Reynad deck indeed. Core Hound and Hunter. Of
Yeah,
course, it is
core
off the
hound.
web spinner, so we couldn't do
Yeah,
much, but
I
sometimes you just got to do it.
I think core hound is one of the absolute worst cards in this matchup simply because it just comes too late. Hunter versus
Yes.
Hunter is often won within the first 3 or 4 turns, and if you get a 7 mana minion, even if you get to drop it on the board, it's still a 9/5, and it can either get kill commanded or hunters marked. Both of which give really good tempo to the opposing hunter player.
Bit of a rough series of draws for Gnimsh, but he does pick up a death rattle, so now he can go for the trade. And Reynad wisely recognized that if his opponent has a 1/1 Undertaker, still can only trade based off of one death rattle. Still a little bit of a gambit, but based off his reads, he was accurate. Animal Companion gets a Leok. Yeah, well,
Actually, what do you think about that trade last turn? The 2/2 into the 2/1. Was there actually any way for Reynad to punish Gnimsh for going to face?
hmm. Yeah, it is not. He isn't coming on a Houndmaster turn if Nimsh pegged it on him to do it.
Yeah, and even if he
Yeah, I
rolled
think
a
you're right.
Misha,
There is an opportunity there.
if he rolled a Misha, which I think is the worst possible scenario, then Gnimsh could just kill command it and then trade with the web spinner anyway.
Definitely
I
interesting to note.
I think I guess one benefit of this is that he definitely gets to keep his web spinner, which allows him to play the Houndmaster on this turn. If Reynad made the trade to trade his Leper Gnome into the web spinner, it may have turned out so that Gnimsh's turn 4 wasn't as great.
All right. Unleash implies he's going to go for a trade. Or does he? Technically, Houndmaster still wants to kill off Leok because of the threat it represents. But then Sludge Belcher coming down next turn really does affect this Leok of being a lot less impactful.
Mhm. I think Reynaz is going to consider all the possibilities that Gnimsh could do on turn 5, and Sludge Belcher has to be on top of his list.
All right. Now, Gnimsh draws his second high main. And he is a mana ahead. And of course, Reynad's hand is not looking that strong at the moment. Animal
Mm,
Companion can end up being completely helpless here. Oh, he drew Kill Command, though.
pretty nice.
There you go. But Gnimsh has bigger dreams on the horizon. He's got a high main.
Yeah, and again, the player who plays the first high main has a really big advantage. Reynad, he gives the well played, and I actually saw him roll his eyes there. Of course, you have high main. You're Gnimsh.
Yeah. Sounds like something Reynad would definitely say, but you have to croak it a little bit more, Monk.
Yeah, I'm not as good as impressions as you are.
Uh,
I have to say.
I mean, it just comes with a lot of douchebaggery in practice, so.
Mhm. Reynad
Okay,
has
well, oh man, he wants
the
to save
Sludge
Flare
Belcher.
so bad for a trap, but he's just kind of at the mercy of
I,
what his opponent can do now.
I am really excited to see Reynad's face when that second high main is played.
Oh man.
He's not even looking at his screen right now.
No, he doesn't want to even pay attention. Oh, eyebrows.
He gives it.
Greetings, traveler.
He gives an emote, I guess.
Yeah. Is there a buzzard though? A buzzard to potentially swing things back? Oh, Reynad gets his own high main. But how long until the pain train starts coming out? Because Gnimsh has Leroy and Kill Command. Next turn, that's what looking at 17 damage.
Well, at least Reynad can preserve this 1/1 taunt, and it kind of lessens 6 damage that could be on the field right now. That's actually pretty important.
Yeah, or if you want to absorb more, you can go a different route too. Now, Gnimsh picks up Haunted Creeper, so it's kind of slowing down, but the most important thing is he does have a way to win with Leroy Kill Command. That's 11, plus his hero
Well,
power every single turn.
as Gnimsh, you already drew your one Sludge Belcher and 2 High Mains. You're probably gonna slow down from there.
Yeah, that's a good point. Mm.
No
Okay,
Huffer.
Misha's not too bad, actually,
You know,
given the state of things.
if Reynad actually draws a buzzer on his next turn, and he gets a series of lucky draws after that with the buzzer and leash, he could turn this game around. He might get 2 more cards from the high main, and with a series of with Hunter's marks, Gnimsh's board could be looking pretty clear next turn. Again, this all hinges on the buzzer draw.
Yeah, Gnimsh wants to get aggressive cards out, so even if this Leper Gnome dies, he gets the 2 damage in. But it does give 1 extra card. So it is up to Reynad to have the Buzzard Unleash. And it looks like instead he got Haunted Creeper.
And Leroy.
And Leroy.
Neither of these are useful at all.
No. Which looks like if Gnimsh's gonna win right here, then he's guaranteed to move on. I don't see a way for Reynad to really stop this here. Unless he wants to use his, like a Leroy Unleash combo to try and clear. Is there an alternative with like Misha on a roll and an Animal Companion to stop the damage?
Well, if you roll Misha, that's still going to be at least 12, 13, 14. No, I don't think that's enough.
Still doesn't stop him. My
Yeah,
goodness.
Reynad just needed to draw more cards at this point. He needed that buzzard.
Yeah. Leroy and then Unleash is his best option for clear.
Yeah, I think this will allow him to survive to the next turn. But if you give up Unleash, then you're kind of giving up your way to get back into this game.
That's his second Unleash.
And
And
do
Reynad
you,
looks like he's gonna go for face. Does he have any other
yeah,
choice?
yeah, I think this might actually be the best play. You just have to hope your opponent doesn't have a Leroy or Kill Command in hand. And unfortunately for him, Gnimsh has both.
I mean, he has 18 damage just with what's on board in hero power. So you're really hoping your opponent doesn't have a single point of damage, whether through weapon, whether through kill command, whether through Leroy, whether through
But
Unleash the Hounds himself.
yeah,
It's very optimistic, but of course, you have to be in this scenario where you're super far behind. And Gnimsh is going to guarantee his advance. Now, this is a game for, is it second place or for first place and second place?
yeah, I'm not actually sure. I think we'll have to look at the standings to see. But I think Gnimsh is definitely advanced at this moment. Oh, there we go, the standings. 4-1 for Reynad, and Gnimsh is 3-2, which means that if Gnimsh wins this last game, he'll actually advance in first place. I believe due to the head-to-head matchups, because would be tied in scores with Reynad. Oh, yeah, still the
Yeah,
same.
same point
Even though,
saves.
yeah, even though the points have changed, my point still stands. Gnimsh will be, if he wins, he'll be 5-3. Reynad will be 5-3. But because Gnimsh beat Reynad, he'll advance as first place.
Ah, you're right. Okay, so Reynad wants to avoid potentially matching up against future teammates like Gara, who did advance first in his group. And Gnimsh, of course, wants to show that he was prove all the doubters wrong. He would advance first place in the group, despite having a rough start against Strifecro.
Yeah, we'll be starting soon. I want to kind of talk about the decks that Reynad will play, and I think Reynad has Miracle left with the Miracle with his own twist of Sludge Belchers and the Handlock left. So I think it's pretty clear that we'll be seeing Miracle in the next game.
Okay, Miracle would be a great answer to Hunter. Obviously not handlock, but the Miracle Rogue is able to really answer the Hunter if you can get cards like Sap on the high mains and win yourself the tempo, and then get yourself the Gadgetzan Auctioneer, stall for time, clear the board. But I have been on the receiving end of an incredible snowball beginning of Undertaker and a bunch of damage, and you have to trade your hero power ability, the dagger, into the creatures a lot of times in order to get like good fan of knives and whatnot. And that damage racks up very quickly to the point where you might just be threatened with lethal on turn 5 or 6 sometimes. So if Gnimsh gets the great start that he's looking for, it might not matter what Reynad does.
Yeah, the Undertaker I think is one of the key cards because if you can snowball the Undertaker just enough to about 4 HP, then Rogue will have a difficult time dealing with it. Rogue typically it doesn't usually have the SI agent plus backstab combo all the time. Plus, it doesn't usually keep cards such as Eviscerate in its opening hand. So something like a 3/4 on turn 2 or 3 can be very difficult to deal with.
All right. Well, I think we're pretty much ready to go. So let's hop onto the board and see what Reynad gets. All right. Well, not the sexiest start that I've ever seen.
Yeah, if we're
Definitely not with the Sludge Belcher. I mean, it's an important card, but you want answers early on.
yeah, but at the same point, Gnimsh doesn't have an Undertaker start, which is the start you really want against Miracle Rogue.
Yeah.
So both have fairly mediocre starts. We'll see if the Hunter won't be able to draw into anything that good. He's relinquished his turn 1 opening, so we'll mostly be looking at the Rogue and if he draws the Gadgetzan Auctioneer and how well his hand improves from here on out.
All right. Gnimsh can answer this Eagle Horn Bow with a Haunted Creeper. Poop Feast 420 says, I put Yetis in all my decks based Reynad. You're welcome, Poop Feast.
Yeah, Proof Feast transitioning from StarCraft into Hearthstone. We welcome
Diversifying
you,
his
Poop Feast.
portfolio of trolling.
I wonder if that's the same Poop Feast.
It most likely isn't. It never is.
It's a bit sad.
Okay.
All right.
Gnimsh. Sludge Belcher, not bad. And it seems like his curve has smoothed out, but it isn't explosive based off of a turn 1 Undertaker. So that's the good news for Reynad for sure, but he still has to deal with the amount of pressure that his opponent's putting out. And he has picked up Gadgetzan Auctioneer, which is important. And now Gnimsh is tempted to try and respond to this. What do you think about Hunters marking this? I think you really want to save Lotheb, though, for the Gadgetzan Auctioneer, don't you?
Yeah, I think Hunter's Mark is actually pretty fair, even though it's at 5 mana. Okay, so oh wow, Gnimsh goes for his own Lothab. Well, it's fortunate for him because he kind of denies his auctioneer, Reynad's Auctioneer on turn 6. Reynad will have to do something else, most probably his own Sludge Belcher, or alternatively, well, actually he could trade his Lothab, heal the Lothab, and get an Edwin out, which is not great. Reynad really seems to be racking his brain right now. This game matters quite a lot for him, just for pride, and he just looks really frustrated at how well Gnimsh is able to curve out at between turns 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Well, it's not over yet. Gnimsh has high main ready to go. But the Gadgetzan Auctioneer with the Conceal in hand does provide problems if Reynad's able to piece together preparation. But I do like the Farseer Edwin play. Able to match the board, and then you really just hope your opponent doesn't have Unleash the Hounds to answer and draw cards.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, a kill command. You know,
Well,
even if Reynad conceals, Gnimsh has been holding this flare this entire game, and that could be
you're
like
right.
some.
That's funny.
That could be a great answer.
That's really funny, actually. The conceal getting revealed by the flare. We don't really think about that often. We think of flare primarily as a secret killer.
Yeah, but it's it's gotten a lot of uses in a lot of matchups these days, especially with Conceal from Auctioneer and also from a lot of shades of Naxxramas that have been popping up, especially in Token Druid decks. So we actually use the other secondary effect of Flare these days.
All right, well, Reynad draws Sludge Belcher number 2, has options to play defensive, but by far it seems like he wants to get this Gadget Stand off as soon as possible because his time is limited.
Yeah, Reynad can wait no longer. If he just plays the Sludge Belcher, I think Gnimsh will get just really favorable trades with the Lothab plus the 2 hounds, or perhaps even a dagger. But I guess Reynad's still delaying it. Is he thinking about backstabbing right now? If he backstabs the Lothab, it could give. Okay, that's fair. It could give him a favorable trade against the. It could give the Sledge Belcher a above average trade against the Lothab. But unfortunately, that also denies a spell for his Gadgetzan Auctioneer. So if he decides to use Auctioneer next turn, then Reynad might not be able to really go off. And we
Yeah.
see Gnimsh has the Flare in his hand, so pretty much if Reynad isn't able to clear the board and use a lot of spells on the turn that he plays Auctioneer, then that means the turn after the Auctioneer will probably die.
Yeah, but of course you use the backstab here, so that way your opponent can't attack, and then the backstab can't be used on a damaged minion. So heads up play, because a lot of times you would save that when obviously you want to kill off the Lothab. Respect from Gnimsh on the Thalnos. I can always get behind that.
Yeah. Gnimsh chose to he could have actually chose to use the Houndmaster plus the Honda Creeper instead of the Houndmaster. This is slightly more aggressive play, but but the but this play is slightly more weak to sap. Fortunately for Reynad, fortunately for Gnimsh, Reynad doesn't have sap right now, so it turned out in his favor.
All right, more stalling from Reynad, but he does have some more spells to put together with his Auctioneer next turn. While
Mm.
Gnimsh has slower cards in general, he's still saving Flare, it looks like.
Do you think Reynad is actually playing around Flare? Because it's
And
from he's building up Sludge Belchers each turn, and he's really kind of building up all the spells in his hand right now to go off in one huge turn, which allows him to kind of play around Flare. If his opponent flares, it's not as big of a deal right now.
I like to think so, but part of me also thinks that he's just trying to not die, considering that there was 7 power on the board the previous turn, then 6 power on the board, and then so on and so forth.
Mm.
Okay, SI7 agent. Still looking for Blade Flurry of some kind, or some way to even get value off of this Deadly Poison charge. But now it's survival mode for Reynad.
Yeah, I think he has to find a way in order to maximize his chances
Yeah.
to get a sap in the next few turns. That 6-2 is just so threatening right now.
What do you backstab, though? 4-3? So that way you have an ability to easily remove with other cards like Shiv, Fan of Knives, or
Yeah.
do you
Reynad
go for
actually.
the Blade Flurry? Oh, he got sap!
Oh, that's great. Yeah, Reynad actually hasn't drawn a single preparation yet. Really
Shadow Step.
unfortunate since he has the Auctioneer in his hand.
Needs to
Conceal.
kind of hurry up here. He's going to play his second Deadly Poison charge. And from here, it seems like
Reynad
Reynad.
looks really confused. Oh my, is he not going to play
Uh-oh.
the Conceal? I think he ran out of. No, he has 0 mana. He just looks really confused. I think he actually miscounted his mana right now.
Oh, he thought he had the ability to play Conceal afterwards and didn't have the extra mana, huh? Well, I guess Gnimsh is like, well, like, you don't have Conceal, I suppose.
Oh man. Gnimsh is really looking hard for that kill command in order to kill
Yeah.
the
Evil
Auctioneer.
Horde Bow, something. But now his best course of action is to push and Sludge Belcher.
Sludge Belcher or Do you think it's viable to just hero power? No, I guess not.
I think you respect too much of the damage with 10 mana and the gadget stand out.
Mhm.
Leroy and Shadow Step.
All right. Reynad has to attack because his only one spell that he can really use is Conceal. And he really hopes that he can chain something off of that Conceal. Eviscerate, not a
Eviscerate.
bad draw. Is he going to eviscerate the 3/1?
Think so.
Okay, there
Gives him
you
the
go.
ability to get something else.
Sap.
Sap.
What's he going to sap on this board?
I don't know if he'll sap anything on the board. His best course of action seems to actually be removal. And now he's trying to get more spells in here. He's got Shiv. Shiv with the SI7 agent will allow him to clean up most of this board, and he's going to kill off the rest of the beasts. The Miracle is still alive. Oh, Fan of Knives. Just one card off.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing that Reynad, I believe, has like just 3 or 4 cards left in his deck. And I believe two of those cards are preparation. He hasn't drawn any of them yet. Hmm.
You gotta kill off some of this what's on here. Reynad doesn't want to give his opponent a card though with the web spinner, right? He wants the web spinner to exist, but then because it exists, it gives him a kill command possibility.
Well, are
And
we
this,
going to see
this web
King
spinner gives
Crush?
him like King Crush.
Uh,
Oh, scavenging
that
hyena.
that would have been so great. Oh, a flare.
Oh,
Second flare.
well,
That's actually
isn't
very
that
relevant.
convenient? And buzzard
All right,
gives you the
what are
ability
we
to
going to
draw.
see? Unleash would be nice too. Or drawing Leroy would that end the game? Animal Companion, perhaps Huffer?
Oh, it's a
Huffer.
huffer. And the Leroy
Leroy.
doesn't allow him to go for it, but now he can do 8 damage or kill off the guide stand and do 7. Still sounds good to me.
Yeah, but I have to agree with you. I think you should be respecting the Miracle Rogues board. You already saw the Miracle player use one Shadow Step, so that's slightly less damage that he could do to you right now. And I think you do trade 24 damage or 24 life. You still feel pretty safe from an empty board. Reynad looks really confused at the moment.
I think he's asking why would you trade when you use Shadow Step though? Like what are you
Yeah,
afraid of? Because now you put him at 1 hero power. So I think Reynad's a little baffled by that play because most likely there's no opportunity for you to do it. Now he draws his second Shadow Step, so that's 12, 16. With
yeah.
Phantom Knives and SI7, he can clear the board. But keep in mind that there is Leroy on Gnimsh's hand, so he's got the win conditions settled there. And I
Mhm.
don't believe that there is an opportunity for Reynad to heal whatsoever, especially since he still doesn't have preparation.
Yeah, you'll see him draw preparation right now. Yep, there it is. He makes a face. He realizes what happened, and Gnimsh puts the well played on the field, and the Leroy, of course.
Oh,
Reynad,
Reynad not happy with that sequence of events for sure. And I don't blame him considering, well, at least he tossed out the well played.